Have you ever been in a moment where someone tried to undermine you, perhaps with a dismissive remark, a sarcastic joke, or an attempt to make you feel small in front of others? In that split second, you feel the weight of the room shift. Do you react? Do you stay silent? And, most importantly, how do you walk away from this moment, not just with your dignity intact, but with respect earned? The truth is, people often test boundaries, not because they truly despise you, but because diminishing others gives them a fleeting sense of power. This happens in workplaces, social circles, even among family. But here's the thing: no one can strip you of respect unless you allow it. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Respect isn't won through aggression or dominance. It's cultivated through how you carry yourself, how you respond under pressure, and the silent strength you exude. In this video, we'll uncover powerful Stoic strategies to command respect, not through force, but through unwavering composure. You'll learn how to disarm those who test you, establish unshakable confidence, and create an aura of respect that follows you wherever you go. So stay with me, because mastering these principles won't just change how others see you, it'll change how you see yourself. Let's begin. First tip: the first impression. First impressions are powerful. Before you even speak, people form an opinion about you based on subtle cues, your posture, your demeanor, your presence. And often, it's not what you say that defines their perception, but how you carry yourself. Picture this. You're at an important networking event. A well-respected professional enters the room, scans the crowd, and walks toward you. They extend a hand for a greeting. But instead of rising to meet them, you remain seated, offering a quick, indifferent handshake. In that instant, you've sent an unspoken message, one of disinterest, hesitation, or even insecurity. What seems like a small action has a massive impact. Without realizing it, you've subtly diminished your presence in the room. The Stoics understood this deeply. They recognized that simple gestures, standing up when greeting someone, maintaining eye contact, offering a firm handshake, aren't just social niceties. They are powerful reflections of self-respect and awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your outward behavior is a direct reflection of your internal state. I once attended a professional seminar where networking was the primary goal. Among the many attendees, one individual stood out, not because he spoke the loudest, but because of how he carried himself. Whether he was greeting a senior executive or simply thanking a waiter for refilling his coffee, he always stood up, made eye contact, and engaged fully. He didn't try to dominate the conversation, yet people naturally gravitated toward him. His presence commanded respect, not through words but through action. In contrast, another attendee consistently remained seated during introductions. It wasn't out of arrogance, just habit. Yet this one small behavior created an invisible barrier. People unconsciously took him less seriously, even though he was just as capable as anyone else in the room. This highlights an essential truth. Standing up isn't just about politeness, it's about presence. It signals confidence, awareness, and an unspoken understanding of mutual respect. Why does this matter? In every interaction, you are either reinforcing or undermining your own value. The Stoics teach us to focus only on what is within our control, and while we cannot control how others perceive us, we can control how we present ourselves. So how do you apply this principle? 1. Be fully present. Whether you're in a professional setting, meeting a new acquaintance, or even joining a virtual call, engage with intent. Your presence should signal that you respect both yourself and those around you. 2. Stand up when greeting someone. It's a small but profound act. It acknowledges the other person's presence and subtly asserts your own. 3. Maintain eye contact. Not as a display of dominance, but as a quiet affirmation of confidence. People respect those who are comfortable holding their gaze. 4th, let your body language reflect composure. The way you sit, stand, and move communicates more than your words ever could. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Carry yourself with that same grace, steady, intentional, and unshaken. First impressions are not about appearances. They are about the energy you bring into a room. They are about showcasing confidence, self-respect, and the respect you have for others. This is the essence of Stoicism: to live with purpose, to master the things within your control, and to let your actions define your character. So, the next time you meet someone, rise to the occasion. Literally, meet their eyes, shake their hand with quiet confidence, and let your presence speak for itself. Second tip: when someone interrupts you. There are few things more frustrating than being interrupted mid-sentence, especially in a public setting. You're making a point, articulating your thoughts, and suddenly someone cuts you off, hijacking the conversation. It's disrespectful, sometimes even humiliating. The natural instinct? To snap back, talk over them, or forcefully reclaim your space. But here's the truth: reacting emotionally only weakens your position. The Stoics understood that true power is not about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. When someone interrupts you, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, pause and meet their gaze with calm, unwavering focus. Let the silence settle. In that moment, without a single word, you send a clear message: I am not someone to be dismissed. A steady, composed gaze carries more weight than a raised voice. It subtly shifts the dynamic, forcing the interrupter and everyone else present to acknowledge their misstep. More often than not, they'll recognize their rudeness and either stop or correct themselves. This isn't about intimidation, it's about presence. A person who commands respect doesn't need to fight for attention. They naturally draw it through self-possession and quiet confidence. I remember once at a family gathering, I was sharing a story when a relative abruptly cut me off to insert their own. For a moment I felt that familiar sting of irritation, but instead of rushing to reclaim my space, I stopped speaking, turned toward them, and simply waited. Expression calm, gaze steady. Within seconds, they realized what had happened. An awkward pause filled the air before they laughed, gestured for me to continue, and stepped back. The moment resolved itself effortlessly, no confrontation, no loss of dignity. This strategy is especially effective in professional or social settings, where respect is often determined by how you carry yourself under pressure. A composed silence draws more attention than raised voices. A steady gaze asserts your presence without aggression. When you control the pace of an interaction, you control its direction. Of course, silence alone isn't enough. Once the interruption settles, resume your point with quiet confidence. A simple, "as I was saying," or "let me pick up where I left off," reaffirms your right to speak without unnecessary hostility. You're not seeking to embarrass the other person, only to set a clear expectation that mutual respect in conversation is non-negotiable. The beauty of this approach? It requires no force, no arrogance, only self-discipline. You're not demanding respect, you're embodying it. The more consistently you uphold this level of composure, the more people recognize you as someone worthy of attention, someone who cannot be easily dismissed. Seneca once said, "A wise man is content with his own approval." When you remain calm in the face of interruption, you prove that your value isn't dictated by how loudly you can assert yourself, but by how steadfastly you maintain your presence. So the next time someone talks over you, don't react, respond, hold your ground, meet their eyes, let your silence do the talking. And when the moment is right, continue without hesitation, without resentment, without losing control. That is the mark of a person who commands respect. Third tip: jokes and humiliation. At some point, you will find yourself in a situation where someone tries to humiliate you with a joke, especially in a group setting. Maybe it's an old friend bringing up an embarrassing story, a colleague making a sarcastic remark at your expense, or someone trying to score cheap laughs at your discomfort. In that moment, the heat rises to your face, your pride stings, and your first instinct is to fire back, to defend yourself, to regain control. But pause for a moment. What if you didn't react with anger or embarrassment? What if, instead, you met the situation with unshakable composure? This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your greatest ally. I once attended a casual meetup with old friends. The conversation was flowing, laughter filled the room, until one of them decided to retell an embarrassing story from our school days, framing it in a way that made me look foolish. The group erupted into laughter, and for a brief second, I felt that familiar pang of discomfort. My immediate instinct: to shoot back with a sarcastic remark, to even the playing field. But instead, I did something different. I smiled, stayed calm, and acted as if I hadn't quite heard them. Then, in a neutral, composed tone, I said, "That's interesting. Could you repeat that?" Something fascinating happened. The moment lost its momentum. The joke, once carried by surprise and social pressure, suddenly felt forced. The laughter softened. The person telling the story hesitated, and as they awkwardly tried to repeat the joke, it simply didn't land the same way. In trying to explain it, they realized how weak it actually was. The tables had turned. This approach works because humiliation thrives on reaction. When someone tries to make you the target of a joke, they expect you to either shrink in embarrassment or lash out in frustration. Either response gives them control. But by remaining calm, unshaken, and even slightly amused, you subtly strip their words of power. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic mindset. If it does not harm your character, it is beneath your concern. If a joke is meant to undermine you but doesn't truly affect your essence, then why let it disturb your peace? The key is understanding that your reaction defines the moment, not their words. So, how can you apply this principle effectively? First, pause before reacting. The space between stimulus and response is where your power lies. Take a breath. Do not let emotions dictate your actions. Second, use silence as a weapon. A moment of calm stillness forces the other person to recognize what they've said. Often, their own discomfort will do more to diffuse the situation than any words you could say. Third, if you respond, do so with quiet confidence. A simple, neutral-toned request, "Could you say that again?" can be far more effective than a defensive retort. It puts the burden on them to justify their words, and more often than not, they'll struggle. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about mastering ourselves. When you handle situations like these with calm confidence, you send an unmistakable message. You are not easily shaken. You define your worth. not the fleeting words of others. And in that moment, without raising your voice or sinking to their level, you command respect effortlessly. So the next time someone tries to make you the punchline of their joke, remember, you hold the power. Let their words pass like the wind, stay grounded in your composure, and watch as their attempt to diminish you falls flat. Fourth tip, a question in response. Have you ever been in a situation where someone deliberately tried to provoke you, hoping to get under your skin? Maybe it was a sharp remark about your personal life, a passive-aggressive jab at your career, or a comment designed to humiliate you in front of others. These moments test your patience, and the instinctive reaction is often to defend yourself, argue, or lash out. But what if you did something completely unexpected? Imagine this. You're at a family gathering. Someone smirks and says, "So, still stuck at that job you hate?" The words sting, and you feel the room's attention shift toward you, anticipating your reaction. You have a choice: meet aggression with aggression, or take control of the situation without even engaging in the insult. Instead of reacting emotionally, you pause, stay completely calm, and respond with an unrelated, neutral question. By the way, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking of picking up something for next time. The effect is immediate. The person trying to provoke you is caught off guard, momentarily lost for words. The conversation, which was heading toward conflict, takes an abrupt turn. Others in the group move on, discussing bakery recommendations or sharing their thoughts on desserts. Just like that, you've neutralized the attack without lifting a finger. This technique isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about reclaiming control. By refusing to react emotionally, you send a clear message. You do not dictate my state of mind. I do. Stoicism teaches us that external events mean little compared to how we choose to respond to them. Epictetus put it best: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Why does this strategy work so well? First, it disrupts the momentum of negativity. When someone insults you, they expect resistance, a back and forth, a rise in tension. But when you respond with unexpected calmness and a neutral, unrelated topic, you throw off their rhythm. They are left with no fuel to continue their provocation. Second, it shows immense self-discipline and confidence. Most people get defensive when attacked, but someone who remains unshaken commands respect. By controlling your response, you control the interaction. However, execution is key. Your tone must be natural and relaxed. If you sound forced or sarcastic, it may come across as avoidance or passive aggression. The goal isn't to dodge the situation awkwardly, but to redirect the energy in a way that subtly asserts your control. A simple, neutral question about a local restaurant, a recent event, or even the weather works best. The less it relates to the insult, the more effective it is. This technique doesn't just serve you in the moment, it builds long-term resilience. By refusing to be drawn into petty conflicts, you develop an inner strength that others will recognize and respect. Over time, people will come to see you as someone who cannot be easily rattled, someone who operates on a higher plane of self-mastery. You cannot control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond. And when you respond with calm detachment rather than emotional reactivity, you not only protect your peace, but also command deep, lasting respect. So next time someone tries to provoke you, don't argue, disarm. Ask a simple, unrelated question and watch as the entire dynamic shifts. In that moment, you are no longer the target. You are the one in control. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The fifth tip: walking away. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt undervalued, dismissed, or outright disrespected? It's a sinking feeling, one that gnaws at your self-worth. But here's a truth many struggle to accept. Sometimes the most powerful way to command respect is to walk away. Stoic philosophy teaches us that respect is never demanded. It is cultivated through self-awareness and firm boundaries. And sometimes the greatest show of strength is not in fighting for acknowledgement, but in choosing where to invest your energy. Walking away is not a retreat. It's a declaration. I refuse to stay where I am not valued. Let me share a story. Sarah, a talented creative professional, joined a major project at her company, eager to contribute. But from day one, her manager constantly belittled her, interrupting her in meetings, dismissing her ideas, and treating her as if her work was insignificant. She told herself that if she just worked harder, proved her worth, she'd eventually earn the respect she deserved. Months passed. Nothing changed. Then, one day, in yet another meeting, Sarah's well-thought-out idea was brushed aside without reason. But this time, she didn't fight for attention. She calmly closed her laptop, stood up, and simply said she would take her talents where they were appreciated. She walked out, leaving the room in stunned silence. That same day, she submitted her resignation, not in anger, but as an act of self-respect. A few months later, Sarah landed a leadership role at a company that valued and celebrated her skills. She hadn't lost, she had won. Her story is not just about leaving a toxic job. It's about understanding that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that staying in an environment that diminishes you is far worse than the uncertainty of leaving. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control others' behavior, we can control where we place ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So, how do you know when it's time to walk away? It's when you've exhausted every reasonable effort to earn respect, only to be met with indifference. It's when your presence is taken for granted, when you're forced to fight for basic recognition. The moment you realize that staying is costing you your self-respect, that's your sign. But walking away is not about creating drama, proving a point, or seeking revenge. It's a quiet, firm decision. It's telling yourself, "I'm worth more than this." It's stepping away not in weakness, but in certainty. Certainty that your value remains intact, no matter where you stand. The beauty of this philosophy is that the world notices when you refuse to settle. Those who once ignored you may suddenly recognize your worth, but by then it won't matter, because you will have already recognized it for yourself. So, the next time you find yourself in a space that refuses to respect you, remember, staying where you are not valued is a choice, and leaving is too. One keeps you stuck, the other sets you free. Respect is not begged for, it is built by the way you choose to treat yourself. We've explored the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and the powerful ways you can command respect, not through force, but through unwavering self-mastery. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one moment in your life where you stood your ground and earned respect? Share your story in the comments below. And if you're not sure what to say, simply type, "I am strong," to remind yourself that respect begins with how you carry yourself. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss another lesson in resilience, confidence, and personal power. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow. You are stronger than any insult, more valuable than any opinion, and in full control of how you respond to the world. Keep learning, keep refining yourself, and keep walking the path of wisdom. I'll leave 2 more videos here to guide you on your journey. Thank you for being here. See you in the next one.